Do you remember going to church when you were younger? You see, my story is a little bit complicated because I think the first few years of my life, I think I was baptized initially, maybe, but I'm not really sure if I was baptized as a baby because I had to be rebaptized in the Catholic Church when I was about 9 years old, and it was just so wonderful. It was wonderful. I was sprinkled, I was anointed, but I wasn't immersed because that's not how the Catholics do it. So I thought church was such a beautiful experience. I really did. Until the breakup of my parents' marriage. And then we stopped going to church, and I actually missed going to church. So I think I must have been saved because a little girl doesn't demand to go to church unless she's really saved. So I had to ride this church bus. It was like a church van into town, and I attended a Nazarene church. The van would come to the trailer park where we lived. Yeah, I mean, we didn't initially live in a trailer park, but after the parents' divorce, then suddenly I was living in a real trailer park, not just a retirement community trailer park. It was like the real deal trailer park, and nothing against it because, I mean, except for tornadoes, trailers are fine, just pray there's not going to be a tornado striking you anytime soon. Yeah, And yeah, I don't know. Can I say this without offending anybody? Because it's been decades. Once I was old enough to have a driver's license and a bank account after I had my first job, I would go deposit money at that certain bank. And I recognized the preacher from the church, and he was there in line. He was there as a customer of the bank. He just didn't make any eye contact with you whatsoever. He just kind of had this very cold demeanor to him. That affected me. I thought, somebody who, if you have enough nerve, if you have enough temerity to get in front of a bunch of Christians and preach the Bible, you ought to be at least affable on your off time. Just make a little bit of an effort to be affable. But he was cold. He was cold to the tellers. He didn't make eye contact with me. I don't know if he recognized me or not. I was rather puzzled. I thought, this man, he preaches some really good sermons. He just seems like a benevolent figure. And then you meet him out in public at a bank, and he's just like cold, Yeah, that's a problem. That hurts your witness when you're that way. However, some people are introverts. Could you be an introvert and a preacher? I suppose you could. I suppose. At least make an effort to smile at people. Make an effort. I make an effort. Yeah, I make an effort. Well, what do I have to say? I just watched a video about a man using FFFF every sentence, every other sentence, and I won't say that. I won't say it. You know why? Because I'm a Christian, but I can laugh. I can laugh at it. But there's something of the Puritan in me. You don't want a real Bible-believing Christian FFFF all the time, right? I don't think so. I think it's a crutch. My last name kind of sounded like crutch, and it also sounded like crotch, and so kids would make fun of my last name. Erica Crotch! Erica Crotch! It's like, why do I have to have one of those names, those last names that people make fun of? Have I been set up from the very beginning? I mean, God is not setting me up, no. But that just reminded me. I really don't have resentment toward, I mean, there was so much abuse that I experienced in the public school system. Let me put it that way. I'm just going to, because I saw that video earlier. And, oh, it's triggering. Oh, warning, this might be triggering. What's not triggering? What's not triggering to somebody who's been abused and misused? My parents had my IQ tested when I was 4 years old because they wanted to put me in public school. They wanted to put me in public school. Somebody's trying to call me. Like, I don't know if I should answer this. I don't know if I really should. You know, I'm at that. Yeah. I don't know. I started this message. I'm going to finish this message. Halting as it is, unplanned as it is. I'm not a stand-up comedian. In fact, one time there was this place called the Funny Bone in Columbus, Ohio, and I thought maybe I could do like an open mic type of thing because I thought maybe I could be funny. I don't know why I wanted to be funny. I think it's because my husband said that his friends said that he should be a stand-up comedian because he's funny, he's clever. And so I remember calling the Funny Bone one time and saying, when are the open mic nights and what are the hours? And the girl was so mean to me on the phone that I couldn't even go because she was just so mean to me. I'm that kind of a person. Yeah, just trauma-laden person. So can we make lemonade out of our lemons? I'm attempting to do that. Your story is very important to me. If somebody would leave something in the comments. Well, if you showed a picture of yourself, then we would. Why do you need a picture? I'm obviously a person. I'm obviously not AI. Well, we don't know if you're AI or not. Just show your face. I've seen people that are just really very average looking people or below average, and then other people that they started off like, oh, I'm really fresh and really beautiful, and then they just kind of like, wow, you've aged 10 years in like 10 months. I'm not playing that game anymore. It's about the voice, folks. It's about the voice. It's about what I have to say. If I were Raquel Welch, then I would be showing you my bosom and, my beautiful eyes. Raquel Welch, remember? Yeah, she married some guy. Anyway, she was like Brazilian or something. I don't know. She was Hispanic. She was a beautiful lady. I don't know why I'm focusing on Raquel Welch. Well, she was on Seinfeld. See, another Seinfeld connection. If you don't believe I'm a human being, if you think I'm just an AI voice or I'm just created like I'm some sort of an avatar, well, then I think you're just kind of stupid because obviously I'm a real person. Obviously. Do I think I'm Susan Anton? No, I don't think I'm Susan Anton. I don't, I don't have gleaming white teeth and huge breasts and a tiny butt and blonde hair. So I'm not that person. So that's why you're not seeing me. Is it okay? Is it okay just to hear somebody? I mean, there are still people that do radio shows. And I want to tell you something about one radio show in particular. Took over for Rush Limbaugh. I really enjoyed listening to the one guy because he sounds just like me. The other guy, he just talks so slowly and pedantically because I'm trying to cover up the fact that I have a Tennessee accent, and if I really let myself go, I sound just like Yosemite Sam, right? That guy is so plotting, and it's not that he's dumb, but almost like 3 minutes into anything that he's talking about, I start saying, man, I gotta turn off this radio. He's putting me to sleep because he's a big man from Tennessee, but he pretends he was born in Ohio. Oh, phony, baloney, baloney, baloney. I had a teacher from Italy. He was shorter than I. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he was a middle-aged man. He was shorter than I. He had this Napoleon-like personality, you know, the little man syndrome. Yeah, he exemplified that. I mean, kind of was bald like Napoleon. He had curly hair. He had a fiery personality. He was brilliant. He taught Latin, Spanish, and Italian. If you wanted to sign up for Italian, I think I signed up for like 1/4 of Italian. And he had to teach us in this little broom closet. It wasn't even a classroom. It was kind of like a broom closet because I was interested, like, hey, Italian. French. I don't know. For some reason, I never signed up for French. I did sign up for German because my family kept saying, oh, yeah, we're German. You're German. Well, why do I look like a gypsy if I'm a German? Well, you're not really a German, but... What, did you just find me under a cabbage patch? I mean, did you just discover me in a garden? If I'm not German, let me know. I had my DNA tested. Turns out I'm just a normal white person. I was hoping I had some Native American. It's like I've got the same amount of Hispanic as anybody. Like England, France, what is it? England, France, and what? What's the other one? The Iberian Peninsula. Oh, Spain. Yeah, I almost forgot. See, you see, I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. You have 3% of that. You have less than 0.1% of Stan. Stan is like you could be from Pakistan, you could be from Uzbekistan, but you wouldn't be Borat because you're not full Borat. No way are you full Borat. You're mostly English, you're mostly German, and you're just the common American mutt. Mm-hmm. And, during the 1980s, Japan had done so well. In fact, I think that it was a cover of a magazine. It said Japan Incorporated. They were really doing very well with producing cars. There was even a movie. I can't remember what it was. Oh, you see, I haven't looked it up. I don't look things up. I don't research things. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice to have that freedom? Oh my goodness. Who was in it? It was something about a Japanese car factory, and they came and they were producing cars in the country, and of course they're kind of making fun of the Japanese a little bit, but and I think in a kind way, kind of poking fun at the Japanese. I wish please God, I don't know. Maybe it's not important, but I remember. We had a Japanese exchange student. I could tell you her name. But before we had the Japanese exchange student in high school, one of my babysitters was hosting a Japanese exchange student. Can I tell you her name? Because it's part of my biography, so it's not any slander whatsoever, because I have nothing bad to say about her. So her name was Misako Yagi. Misako Yagi. She was brilliant at the piano. And she always liked me. She just really liked me. Like, she would always show me cartoons from Japanese newspapers. She just really, really liked me. Then I got in touch with her years later. And it's kind of like the thrill is gone. She's not really impressed with you. She thinks you're kind of a peasant and she doesn't want to have anything to do with you. Yeah, I think she ended up being a concert pianist. And yeah, that babysitter taught piano lessons, and I longed for my parents to pay for me to have piano lessons, and my parents were always too stingy to. The lady who babysat me would take in students and teach them the piano. And I just longed to, I must have asked them 2 or 3 times, oh no, Erica, no. You're not going to get piano lessons. It's enough that we didn't put you up for adoption. Do you think we're going to give you piano lessons on top of this? They were strapped for cash. I remember Misako used to play this beautiful rendition of Red River Valley. Come and sit by my side if you love me. I shall miss your sweet face and your smile. Just because you are weary and tired, you are changing your range for a while. And then she would go into like ding, 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 ding. And I was like, oh, what a pampered little pooch she was. You know, her parents paid for her to have the best lessons at Juilliard and everything. My parents paid anybody, any Tom, Dick, or Harry, just get me out of the house. But the original point of my message, yeah, I guess I was going to start talking about trauma. The trauma I experienced in the educational system? Oh, that's right. You know, men, if I were a man, I could just look really bald, really fat, really ugly. It wouldn't matter what I look like. I would be an instant star because I'm a woman. Well, she also has to be beautiful. She has to be a certain age. She must not sound as if she's a hillbilly or a hick at all. She's got to be absolutely perfect. That's why I like Carolyn Levitt, I admit. I might have criticized her once or twice. I might have even done that. And I'm sorry. I guess I couldn't relate to that. Like, I wouldn't do that. Like, I wouldn't do that. Why couldn't Trump find a man? Well, he decided he didn't want to find a man. He wanted a blonde lady to be a spokesperson. Blondes do, you know, they used to be, wasn't there a book called Blondes Have More Fun or something? It was the saying, even my mother said that. And I saw that my mother had, during the 1960s, she had transformed her hair into blonde. And in fact, after her hair was practically gray completely, she did become a blonde. She did. I don't think she was having more fun. How different would you be received if you were a blonde person? You know, how much more would society like you if your eyes were blue? Remember that song from the 1970s? Don't it make my brown eyes, don't it make my brown eyes blue? Sister of Loretta Lynn, Crystal Gale. Of course, she had blue eyes. She didn't have brown eyes. I don't know. But originally, I think that song was sung by an African-American lady. But of course, a white lady with blue eyes appropriated it. And as a little girl, I would listen to that song and I thought, maybe if I was sad enough, my brown eyes would turn to blue and people would like me more. You know how little kids think. So I'm not saying we're going to file a class action suit. I'm not saying that. Folks, I would be the first one to jump on the bandwagon. That would be just like, I wouldn't start it, but I probably would. I've had opportunities in the past. Well, would you like to be part of this class action lawsuit? You bought this thing, or you were this company, had affiliations with this company, and it turns out they did this and this, and would you like, well, what's the point of that? I just don't like a litigious society. It's not my thing. But listen, the abuse from day one going to school, the abuse, the horrible mistreatment of children. And so I think I began to say, there was a comedian talking about school, and I don't think that I agree with him. And yeah, I'll tell you, I'm a little bit jealous. A man can just say anything he wants. He can look like he's a middle-aged bald drunk, and he can what recovering alcoholic, and he can just say anything he wants, and he gets all this applause. A woman says it, it's like, well, whatever, let's listen for the crickets. They're going to start chirping soon. I never wanted to be a Roseanne. I remember 60 Minutes or something, when Roseanne's show first came out in the 1980s, and there was this fictional family called the Connors, and there was Becky. I guess I probably sound like Becky a little bit. I guess I do. I used to sound, my dad used to make fun of my voice, like when I would answer the phone, I would sound so nice. I'd say, hello. I'd sound like really nice and princess-like, and he'd make fun of me. He says, you sound like you're too nice on the phone. It's like, what dad criticizes their daughter for sounding too nice? Answer, my dad. I sounded too nice on the phone? I thought you were supposed to sound nice on the phone. Mr. Rogers told us we're supposed to sound nice when we answer the phone. That's the kind of mind games that my family would play with me. So, I did watch Roseanne because when I would come home from school, nobody was home. My brother was at daycare or in school, and Mom had to pick him up after dark or something, after she... Never mind, I'm not going to say that. I just edited myself. I just censored myself. Yeah. I'd just come home. It was terrible to be locked out of your house if you're a latchkey kid and you forgot your key. Wasn't that horrible? You had to climb in through a window and then realize all the windows are locked, and you just sat there until your mom came home at like 7 p.m. and you're cold, you're hungry, you're freezing, you're tired. Never forget my key again. Never, ever, 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 ever. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I had to let the dog out too. The dog had to poop and pee. A poor dog, Imagine the bladder trauma for that poor dog. But I would never try to rival a person like Roseanne. She's naturally outgoing. She just has a way about her. But I remember seeing the 60 Minutes episode where they interviewed her. I think it was 60 Minutes. Was it Morley Safer? Does that sound like a fake name, Morley Safer? Well, somebody interviewed her, and I think it was 60 Minutes. And they showed pictures of her where she dieted and she got like super duper skinny. And I thought she's just a strikingly beautiful, beautiful young woman. But she decided she was happier being fat. Our society is so intolerant. I mean, like, all of a sudden you have to get the patch. You've got to take the GLP-1 injection. Why do I have to do it? Well, I mean, there are plenty of fat people around, and usually they show women. Maybe they're just targeting me, with their advertising, but men don't care if they're fat. Men could care less. Men are happy being fat, and they think they're handsome, even if they're fat. They're like Jackie Gleason. It's like, everybody loved Jackie Gleason, right? it's not wrong to get fit and to get healthy. Yeah, that's the thing. Once these snide, sneering young people finally wake up and realize how arrogant and stupid they've been, they're probably going to be old and bald by the time they wake up, or maybe they'll be living during the tribulation. The way they mistreat their parents, the way they didn't show respect, they didn't show honor. That's what I have to say. At least in the Amish community, I think, but I don't know. I think they showed respect for their parents. Honor thy father and thy mother. In our culture, you can believe in Jesus, but, well, you can divorce your spouse. You can gossip about them behind their back, and you can totally disregard your parents. You just throw them under the bus and fall into that narcissistic abuse system that you so do love to do, that voodoo you do. Wow, folks. We have all this information available, and yet people are getting, right? Dumb and Dumber. That was a movie, too. My dad liked that, but it had such crude things in it, like, people farting and things like that. It's like, I don't want to watch Dumb and Dumber. But Dad, he would laugh hysterically or crack up, as we used to say. I'm a lady. I'm very ladylike. I mean, maybe I'm not like, I don't have like double D breasts. I'm not like, I'm not super blonde and I don't talk like that. I'm not like 5'2", eyes of blue. Oh, what those fast feet can do. Has anybody seen my gal? I'm sorry. I'm not Maude. My mother kind of resembled Maude. Remember the show Maude? And then there's Maude, and then there's Maude. My dad hated that show. But my mother she really kind of looked like Maude. And Carol Burnett. Like, if you could hybrid the two, that was my mother, kind of. So I think that she made like an extraordinary effort throughout her life to appear very feminine, very dainty, because can you imagine how awkward it would be? This was before the supermodel era. Can you imagine the 1950s? When you had to be Doris Day, you had to be shapely, or you had to be a Marilyn Monroe. You could be Elizabeth Taylor, but Elizabeth Taylor was probably like 5'4" and 300 pounds. No, I'm sorry. No, that was only in Cleopatra. I think I was speaking in tongues there. My mother didn't fit the mold, and I think that she was really humiliated and rejected. Boys did not want to date her. And she used to say, men don't make passes at girls who wear glasses. And she said when she went to college, she got hard contacts. I had gaseous permeable contacts. You remember those before they had the soft contacts? Because when you really can't see, you need either glasses or contacts. If you really can't see, it's not just a minor impairment. It is, you have to, it's like, if you don't have vision, how can you function? I mean, you can't do anything. And I was like, man, my mother wore those hard contacts just to get dates, just to snag a man, just to attract. Not that my dad was an undesirable, but she would do anything. She'd like be like the Venus flytrap, trying to attract any man to show any interest in her whatsoever. And that's what it was in college. I mean, that's what I think. She dyed her hair blonde, but it couldn't really be blonde. I mean, it turned out to be like an odd color of orange, like a very vibrant yellowish orange. That was okay back in the 60s. It won't fly today. She wore these contacts. It must have hurt her eyes terribly. she joined a sorority, and she said, well, that was like the best time of my life. I joined a sorority. They had all these weird rituals, like they had this paddle, and all these weird hazing things that they did. It's like, it's kind of a cult. And in fact, the thing that typified the sorority was promiscuity. You could just sleep around like Helen Gurley Brown. Sex and the Single Girl was a book. Oh my goodness. And so when people talk about the British invasion, I admire and I respect anybody's musical talent and abilities. But I think they injected a lot of immorality into our culture. Well, before the Beatles, there were the Everly Brothers, and my father really didn't like the Everly Brothers. He used to call them, bye, bye, love. He used to call them the Everly Sisters because he stand the Everly Brothers. He hated them. I'm sorry. I don't hate anybody. I honestly, to say that my dad hated somebody, no, that'd probably be wrong. I don't think my dad hated people. I don't think he hated anybody. He had antipathy, but he didn't have hatred, right? He might use terms like slurs, but please don't think that he's all day talking trash about minorities or anything like that. In fact, my dad really admired Asian people quite a bit. I never heard him say anything bad or derogatory about Asian people. So to this day, I have respect for Asian people as well. Don't lump them into this. Don't be paranoid and think, well, all the old white men, they just were really racist. And my father had a job that was very important in a university, actually. All right, maybe it was a glorified community college, but it was a university. And he hired a blonde lady, and then she quit. And then he hired a black lady she was really wonderful. I went to visit one time, and it was that awkward time when I'm 13 years old and I'm ballooning. The hormones are kicking in. I thought, man, I'm just too fat. I have to wear these glasses, and it's so incredibly awkward to go visit my father's secretary in his building. And she was so kind to me. She says, Erica, you're a grown-up woman now, aren't you? No, I'm only 13. I may look like I'm a grown-up woman. I'm just, puberty is wreaking havoc on me. When I was a little girl, I could keep off the weight, but once those hormones kick in, you start getting really plump and ungainly. You know that verb. Sorry. Yes, adjective. I should have said, not verb. I'm sorry. I caught myself. I was embarrassed because I really wanted to impress her. I thought, well, maybe she really thinks I'm pretty. Maybe she thinks I'm pretty. I'm wearing my glasses, and I'm wearing a sundress because I think it's summer. And I really want everybody to be impressed with me. Ever since I was a little girl, I had to impress everybody. Like they're going to trot you out like a prize pony. Listen, if we've paid so much for your feed and your upkeep, you darn well better be impressive when we take you out, you little show pony. Yeah. So I really tried my best. I always tried my very, very best. But the thing that was lacking was honesty. When I came home from school, my mother wasn't there. She didn't take me out to go shopping. I really just can't wait to buy Erica the neatest cute outfit for girls her age. I'm just so excited. My mother did go bowling, she joined a bowling league, and so I remember spending many hours being very bored, watching her bowl, and everybody's drinking, and I'm just like watching. Nobody's trying to train me how to bowl. I'm playing video games in the arcade. By the way, that bowling alley burned down. That's just kind of weird because it's really sad. Because I love. I mean, I just like. I would go to the not a bar, but because they didn't sell alcohol, at least not to minors. I would just buy soda after soda. I would just be so bored. And my mother would be bowling, and anytime somebody got a strike or a spare, they'd ring a cowbell, like a brass cowbell, ding, 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 ding. And it's like, this is horrible. I just gonna play Pac-Man or pinball. I'm just sitting here being extremely bored, drinking too much soda, eating too many French fries. You know that kind of childhood. Well, if you don't know, if you're lucky, then you're lucky. If you're not, then you're not. I don't know. So getting back to my original point, I'm not editing. If you look at the metadata, I don't edit. I don't cut things. I just go to the next thing. It sounds as if, well, she's highly edited this. This is an artificial intelligence voice. No, it isn't. It's all me. It's all me. Believe me, it's all me. But then put yourself on camera. I'm not gonna put myself on camera. I'm not a Marilyn Monroe, I don't think, I think the voice should suffice. It's a troubling thing to reiterate, to relate, and to reiterate. I think the reason why, my parents were having financial struggles in my early childhood, so they moved in with my mother's parents, and I fell down the steps several times because my mom's mom wasn't minding me so well. And so I think that prompted them to have my IQ tested so I could enter kindergarten early. Oh, well, kindergarten is like children's garden in German. Apparently my IQ was so high they just stopped testing you because your IQ was off the charts. Well, really? Okay, whatever. I guess they weren't asking me math questions. Jesus, have mercy on my soul. So I had to walk to school at 4 years old, like basically just out of toddlerhood. And I'm just walking to the school, and basically it's an inner city. And I'm walking to this horrible brick institution that looks like a prison or a mental institution, a hybrid, deteriorating, crappy old brick building. Well, you should be grateful. I know, I'm very grateful. Thank you for reminding me. I should be grateful. And this horrible woman, my kindergarten teacher was just the most horrible woman you could imagine. And she just expected me to be mature. And when I just didn't seem to understand what was going on, I'm just like a 3-year-old in a 4-year-old's body. That's what I thought. She was kind of mean to me. I mean, like, ooh, somebody was mean to you, so bad. I know, but the reason why I'm relating this to you is you might be... It's okay to trigger memories. It's okay to say, yeah, you and I have that in common, but you know what they did? They horsewhipped me when I stepped out of line in my school. I'm sorry about that. But we have something in common in that we were traumatized at a very young age. grandmother who can't take care of you because she's drinking too much and she ignores you and you fall down the stairs several times. I remember that, like tumbling down the stairs, like tumbling. She was just too drunk to notice me or to take care of me. That's really true. I'm sorry, but she was. That's why my mother had to put me in school early and with this horrible person. There's just a horrible, 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 mean lady in kindergarten. In first grade, we moved to Worcester, Ohio. And it was on a golf course, but it was in a trailer park next to a golf course. And I had the nicest teacher you could imagine. I can't say her last name to protect her privacy, but she was the nicest person. Super duper encouraging, super duper kind. To me, as a little girl, she was very tall. Very, very tall. And I had a best friend. I don't think I can go into that. That's too painful. I lost that. That was the first best friend I ever lost. So sad. No, it wasn't. The first best friend I ever lost was named Elam. Elam at a babysitter's house. I loved Elam so much. I bonded with Elam, and then my mother switched me to another babysitter. Ah! Okay. It's just my primal scream there. But it's a bit muted there. I never saw him again. I bonded with him. At like 3 years old, I bonded with this kid. I loved him. I loved Elam. Not Elon, but Elam. I don't know. It's kind of a weird name, isn't it? I mean, no, I shouldn't say it's weird, but it's unusual. I bonded with him. Oh my goodness. And my mother knew how much I cared about him. I talked about him. And I thought, well, you're just going to a different babysitter now. What? As a kid, of course you can't protest. You have no idea that you even have a right to protest about how you're being treated. So in the middle of the year, I had a new best friend, another little boy best friend that I just had really bonded with in a very special way. And my mom started asking me, you're being bullied on the playground, aren't you? You're being bullied. Like one time I went on the merry-go-round. I don't know if they still have that, the merry-go-round, like the playground equipment. One time, like there was an incident where maybe some older children were being mean or something. I said, no, Mom, I don't feel like I'm bullied. No. She asked me several times. And then mid-year, right after Christmas, we have to move to this horrible Siberia. And I got another witch as a teacher. I had a mean witch for kindergarten. I had a Mary Poppins for the first part of first grade. Then I got another mean witch for the second half of first grade. I don't understand why these people go into teaching if they hate children. Because they hate children, that's why they go into teaching, so they can torture them. Oh yes, thank you, AI, for answering that question. I didn't even have to ask AI. It was like night and day. Remember that song from the 60s? Night and day, you are the one. I'm sorry if my voice cracked. I just try to sing like my dad used to like to sing. So my mom used to sing, but I didn't like her voice. Da, 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 under the sun. It's very sultry. I think Frank Sinatra might have sung that. I don't know. I'm gonna spend my life making love to you day and night, night and day. But when we say in English the idiom night and day, it's like the difference between daytime and nighttime. That's how stark the difference was between these two first grade teachers. I hid under the desk from that woman because I was so afraid of her. She was so mean and she was so intimidating. She was so... Reminds me of somebody I know. Luckily, I didn't say it what I was thinking. Yeah. But then my second grade teacher was so wonderful. Wonderful. My third grade teacher was wonderful. My fourth grade teacher was wonderful. My fifth grade teacher was wonderful. And, at that time I was about 10 years old in the fifth grade. It's not the same as in England. And then she drops the bomb on me. Mom says, your father and I are getting a divorce. It took me so much time to get my social capital together so that I had accumulated enough social capital to actually be accepted. And you did that to me. You dropped. Oh! Primal scream coming out. But she did it. She didn't care. Very flippant about it. I cried. I started crying. And she just stared at me. She didn't hug me. She didn't cry. She didn't cry a tear. And I had to open the worst chapter of my life. A new school district. You see, let's re-examine the American educational system. I have often thought, I was really surprised because I saw some sort of like a cop cam video of a student teacher who was arrested for saying she wanted to kill the children or something. And somebody caught her and she's being questioned in a room. And somebody said, that school looks like a prison. Every school I attended looked like a prison. What are you talking about? They bust us into school. It's like a prison bus. You have a number, not a name. Thank you very much. I have some more, please. I mean, the cafeteria food was okay. I mean, who didn't like Salisbury steak? Hopefully it wasn't human meat. We don't know. Hopefully it wasn't cat meat or horse meat. What was in that Salisbury steak? God only knows. It was very salty and had a lot of gravy on it. I would say there are many caring people, but in high school, no. I mean, my goodness, no. I mean, in middle school, no. There are caring people in the facility, but the thing is, you're an inmate, and you're being punished for being born. That's how school felt like. I went to a Montessori. I'm sorry your experience was so different. Okay, well, I'm glad you're sorry. Thank you for your empathy. Appreciate that. When I look back on it, I could say, well, maybe my parents made wrong decisions. Maybe there was unhappiness in the home. Point the finger at mother or father, I think they were equally in need of help. Okay, I'm not blaming. I'm saying they thought they wanted a kid. Once a kid came along, they thought the kid was too expensive, and the kid was too messy, and the kid was too annoying. That's the thing. I'm prepared for parenthood. And, the year after my parents' divorce, they got divorced, and then we had to move to that trailer park that I talked about. I don't want to even talk about all of that stuff. But then we moved back to the other house in the 7th grade, and I reunited with my friend briefly. But she had already made a new circle of friends. By that time, I had a female best friend. I would have been happy for any friend, male or female. Quite honestly, I would have. She was my best friend, and it wasn't her fault, but we couldn't quite connect. Once I had to move back, and I acquired something called Epstein-Barr, or chronic fatigue syndrome. I just felt like I didn't have any energy to go to school. I just felt sick. And so I stayed home a lot during the 7th grade. So I was about, 13. I stayed home so much. But, of course, I played Penelope in a reenactment of the Odyssey. I had a brief... I played Lady Macbeth and Penelope in the 7th grade. So I remember taking my mom's mantilla, because I thought, yeah, my mom used to wear a mantilla when she went to the Catholic Church as a young girl, because that was kind of a standard thing that they would wear. I wore that. I love the smell of it. It's just like the smell of that lace. It's just really good, It just smells wonderful. I love to wear that mantilla. I think I was a good Penelope. And then my friend was Ulysses, to my Penelope. He was Ulysses to my Penelope. Or you could say Odysseus, doesn't matter. Seventh grade wasn't the nicest time. I had missed a lot of school because I was really depressed. 8th grade was really terrible because I really started to get fat. And the people who had initially liked me in the 6th grade in the same school district really thought I was I thought I was a horrible hippo. I just didn't I was getting pimples. I was fat. My grandpa died that year. I had a weird teacher, an English teacher who was totally... Now, please don't stereotype ladies as being, well, you're such a school marm, you're so picky about people's grammar and spelling. Listen, if you're going to speak the English language and if you're going to write the English language, wouldn't you like to do it properly? If it's math, don't you want to know your math facts properly? If you do your best, at least do your best. But this guy was so over the top. We heard rumors that he actually threw a kid's desk out the window. He was so frustrated with that kid that he actually threw the kid's desk out the window. But they never fired him. These people are wound up just a little bit too tight, don't you think? Some of these so-called educators. And then let's move on to college. You had some professors that were very nice, and then I know that I'm not the smartest person in the world. In fact, in terms of intellect, I have the intellect, but I didn't have the worldly wisdom. I was dating my husband and missed a lot of school. And when I would show up to class for this particular English course, I would just doodle. I would just, because that's what I used to do in school. I would just doodle. You know what doodling is? If you have a notebook and you have a pen or a pencil, just start drawing pictures or, My mother actually had a notebook from when she was a kid or a teenager. She was such a cute artist. I just loved her art. So I did that. I must have annoyed the stuffing out of him, because he just probably gave me an F for the course. But he's so stupid. What did he say? Did you ever have a professor who was very over egotistical also kind of stupid. He mispronounced this word. It was so bad, even one of the boys in the class, young men in the class, said, "Don't you mean this?" It's like, "Oh, I don't know." And he just mispronounced that word so awfully bad. And then other teachers that, I was used to my teachers, that the ones that really got to know me, that really thought, "Oh, Erica's really, she's cut above the rest. She's very intelligent." I was used to being respected, but when you're a big fish in a small pond, that's one thing. When you're a small fish in a big pond, that's an entirely different thing. I remember having a meeting with one of my English professors at The Ohio State University. I said, "Listen, I got a 30 on my ACT on my verbal, or a 31 or something like that." There was verbal and there was English or something, I can't remember. I didn't take the SAT, so I don't know what that score means anyway. Gavin, I don't know. I don't know what that means because I only took the ACT, which stands for American College Test. And he kind of raised his eyebrows. He's like, "Oh, you got a 31 on your verbal score." There's just a flicker of interest there, but he wasn't interested in getting me into the system. Maybe because I wasn't Jewish. One time he brought the Bible, and he actually brought the Bible into class, and he started reading out the Bible. I thought, that's great. This guy's great. I really like him. But, because you're not Jewish, I really don't like you, so don't get too familiar with me. You're not one of us. You see? Telling you like it is. The educational system in the United States of America. So don't think that, because I was mistreated, it must have been because I was a minority. No, I don't think you were mistreated, or perhaps you were given preference and privilege because you were a minority. I don't know your situation. I just know that I was a brilliant little kid. I had a high IQ at the age of 4. But I also know that I experienced a lot of psychological trauma. Bullying at school, the teachers always turned a blind eye. Always. I mean, it's like you could even put they would put a piece of paper on your butt. They'd have a piece of Scotch tape and a piece of notebook paper, and it would say, "Kick me." Am I Marty McFly's dad or something like that? It was happening to me in the 6th grade. Like, they didn't have any respect for women, girls, females. They didn't have any respect. In fact, there was a lady from India who was teaching a course, or I should say a class. She wasn't my teacher, but apparently one of the indigenous white boys mooned her. You know what mooning is? You pull down your pants and you show your butt to the person, and that's called mooning. And he did that to her. That shows you the mentality of these people. They're not the night. I mean, what? I don't know what they are. Like, what is wrong with these people? A lot of stuff. Stuff happened to me. A lot of nasty language. A lot of teachers just looking the other way. I didn't see that bullying. I didn't hear it. Things have to change. And in fact, for many children, school has become like a prison. Just sitting down at a desk, I would see dirty pictures, like genitals. People are drawing genitals and things that are just disgusting that I wouldn't even repeat to anybody. And then once or twice a year, somebody would clean off all the desks, but the damage was done. Just really scatological, disgusting stuff. The teachers didn't care. They were collecting a paycheck. And if they cared, well, don't you dare care that much. You're going to be fired, bro, you know. Wow. So as much as I feel sorry for the Iranians, and I'm glad the Ayatollah is gone, what about the American public educational system? I can't speak to the parochial system, although I had a brief acquaintance with it, taking a couple of my children there. I'm sorry that I took them there because I think it was even worse. It was. How do you expect a person to be grounded, to be normal, to be sensible, to be logical, if that's the way they treated us back in the day? We were treated so terribly. School, it was like a prison. School was like a prison. If that was not your experience, please tell me otherwise. I think we do need some educational reforms. I appreciate you listening to me. Goodbye.